Hi, this is Jeff White with Life and Living Now, and for our talk today, I wanted to kind of bring up something that I think we already know, but we always need to be reminded from time to time. At least I know that I do as well. And that's that control the things that you can control, which is really more importantly your mind and your thoughts. So things happen to us all the time in life, and we have these experiences, things happen to us. Some things we know, okay, we had a part of bringing that to about to happen. Other times it doesn't seem like we had a conscious part. Things just kind of happen to us, and there's no way we can control all the different variables with life. That every thought, every intent creates another thought wave. We're in our consciousness, that we're always attracting, we're repelling energy in people, and all these things begin to happen. So things kind of happen to us. The one thing that we can always control is what happens between our ears, what happens in our thoughts. And I'm reminded of this, and I share these because these are all lessons that I have learned and get to sometimes relearn from different vantage points. And I always view learning as being somewhat of a spiral. You continue to come back and revisit essentially many of the same issues until you finally deal with them completely, but you see them from different angles. You see them in different ways. Sometimes you have grown and you've evolved, and so now you see this issue that you've had to deal with from a different perspective, and you're able to eradicate it, to deal with it more effectively, more skillfully at that level, until such time as no longer is an issue in your life. And so that's just kind of the way life has been. And I think that's just the way life works. I know this way it has been for me. And there's times like here recently, I took on a job. I left a career that I was very successful in. I took a job that was not really in my skill set, and it was a struggle. And I did well for you know, enough to, they switched me to another department where life was just miserable. And after a while, I found myself having to talk to myself and kind of going, you're coming to work every day miserable, and you've never been that way. There wasn't really a level of service that I could see. Now I'll come back and talk about that as well. And finally, after 14 months, they switched me over to another area. Then they were going to bounce me somewhere else. And at that point, I just said, you know, it's time to focus on things that feed me. But in that initial set, when I was just getting so frustrated and almost to the point of despair, which is not really like me, I just felt trapped because I was in a job that I felt like I needed to have to complete some plans that we had. And that was not untrue, but it was my attitude. And so I really had to give a good talking to myself and say, I'm not going to let this beat me, and I'm not going to be weak here. So I just continued to work on the skill set for my job and the skill set for my attitude. And eventually the doors were open, the paths were made, so I was able to leave. And now I'm engaged in other projects that feed my soul. So the thing that you always want to look at is, what can I control? Now, the thing that all of us can control, as I mentioned, is our thoughts. We want to give the benefit of the doubt, give grace, look at things that happen to us without the emotional context of it. Begin to look without judgment. Become a witness of the events in your life. By becoming the witness, same as we talked about being the thinker of your thoughts. When you become the witness of things in your life, then you're not getting so wrapped up. You're not going down that rabbit hole of, here's my thoughts, and then one emotion tags to another and then to another. And, pretty soon we're finding ourselves all riled up again because of a perceived insult that somebody gave us or somebody triggered us. And we have to understand our triggers are really within ourselves. We may tell people, I don't want you to trigger me. What you say triggers me. But it's not always up to them to modify their speech. I believe it's up to us to learn to be more resilient, learn to have a deeper perspective, learn to not be so triggered. Now, it doesn't mean that the other person should not learn communication skills and should not learn maybe some levels of respect and things like that. There's all kinds of things that go on. But we're looking at, in me, what do I need? Do I want to carry that resentment? Do I feel justified in acting out and lashing out? Or can I sit there and say, okay, let's just let this go? Um, those who have trained in martial arts, and the deeper they go, they realize that really we're training for peace, and that martial arts is the use of those skills is as a last resort, or in situations where there is no other answer, and that somebody has acted upon us, and we need to answer that. So when you come back to looking at things that happen in your life, then look at your thoughts. For me, it is deep breathing, create space between stimulus and response, create a deeper perspective, look at life with a deeper perspective, look at life from a more holistic perspective. I believe we are all one, and I know that to my very core, that we are all one, we are all spirit, and we all have a soul, and that's where we begin our differentiation. So we want to be able to carry that deeper perspective into our lives as we look and deal with the people around us. And like I mentioned, the first thing is controlling, being more skillful in our thought process. So not just getting carried away in our emotions and how they hurt me and how I feel hurt or I'm a victim. And anytime you find a victim or a label, then I tend to shed it. I tend to try and get rid of it. I tend to divorce myself from those labels. Now it's not impossible, but I don't want to think of myself as a label. I don't want to think of myself as a victim if somebody did me harm. No, that whether I feel like I'm a victim or not is up to me. They may treat me as a victim, they may treat me poorly, but their opinion of me is makes very little difference to me. Unless you're somebody very close. Obviously, my wife's opinion of me may have a weightier aspect than somebody on the street. However, somebody's opinion of you is just simply that. It is their opinion of you. What you need to be rock solid in is your opinion of yourself. You need to be strong in your own mind and settled in who you are, which takes time then to figure that out and to discover that. So control your thoughts. Decide what kind of person you're going to be in that moment. Decide what principles you're going to put into effect. When things happen in your life, when things happen in my life, I tend to look for the principles that I want to use to govern this situation. I may look and see, okay, what principles do I want to enact? And what are my values? What's in keeping with my values? And now we're looking at integrity. Do I act with integrity? Can I control my thoughts and keep myself and remind myself and renew my mind to be the person that I choose to be, to have the integrity that I choose to have, which is being authentic to myself. When we're looking at those kinds of things, one of the things that I look at is, well, if you had asked me um, 15 years ago, I was very goal driven. I was building businesses, training agents, helping open offices, things on those lines. Very busy. I ran a team. We always set goals. I set goals. I lived and died by my numbers every 30 days. And it was successful. It was not always, it took away from some of the um, more rewarding aspects of what I did. And I just count that up to the business side of things. However, the deeper I have gone in my journey, now I think it's not just so much about what do we want to accomplish, what do we want to do. First, you start with your being. Then we start with doing. So be first, do second. Let your doing arise out of who you are, which means you need to get calm, you need to get quiet, you need to get centered, you need to listen to that still small voice on the inside of you that urges you, encourages you, and thinks holistically and says, what is my contribution? What do I want my contribution to be to the world? We came here as a blank slate. We came here and we can decide what kind of contribution we want to make. Now, for some, it is raising children, that are full of integrity and have good character, and that's awesome. For some, it's providing for their families and raising their children and taking care of things. very noble, very good. Some have a broader perspective that they feel that they want to be more of a part of healing for the earth. Some people have more of a protector. They sign up for law enforcement or for for military, because they recognize that while I feel everybody is one and we would love for everybody to be at peace, and I do believe that at our deepest level we are peace and we are whole, many of us are so operating such delusion and are so deluded that we forget who we are, we forget who the others are, and they begin to lash out and act out in very cruel and inhumane ways. There's all kinds of inhumanity that goes on in the world today. And some have the fortune of being able to turn a blind eye and not ever see that it exists, and that's fine too. Their part is to do something else. Some want to advocate just for peace, and so they're against any type of military. That's also perfect and fine. It's complete in that sense. You want to have those voices, because it still is, that's a yearning that comes out of us, is we don't want to have the need for a military and a police force and those kinds of things. But the truth is, just like the body has white blood cells that fend off other cancer cells and things that would harm the body, you also need to have that in our human organism, into our connected species, that those who are there to stand for what's right, to work against aggression, to fight for liberty and democracy and those kinds of things. I do believe those are all still very valid. But before you know that's your path, you need to get quiet. You need to look on the inside. You need to look deeply and to see that as the thinker of your thoughts, what is your contribution? Where are your gifts? What do you need? What do you want to do? It doesn't mean you're going to have all the answers right away, but as you take those steps of faith, then the universe will come in behind you. But it starts with being, not with doing. So first, control the controllables. Control your mind. Control your thoughts. Control your emotions. Make some space. Be able to look at things with a sense of detachment, being somewhat dispassionate in your look. It doesn't mean not to greet life with emotion. I love life, and I love the beauty that's in life, and I love the energy that's in life. But I don't lead. I don't wear my emotions on my sleeve either, and I try not to let my emotions dictate what my decisions will be. They may confirm, they may lead me through a piece, but I want to be careful that I don't act out of what I think things should be necessarily. I don't want to act out of my ego. I don't want to act out of my sense of self-importance. I want to act from being a servant. I want to act from being able to be of value and contribute to mankind as a whole. That has been what my life has been about, is in helping to improve the quality of people's lives. I did it through one medium for 30-something years, quite effectively, with lots of comments that said, that how much they had gained and been helped from far more than just I was in real estate, so the real estate side of things. Same thing in martial arts. I had one of my students who was having some issues, so we turned him on to Qigong and meditation. We bring health, we bring healing into the space that needs it. So that's also part of showing up and being who you want to be. You need to ask yourself, who are you? I am. That's what I am. I am. And then control your thoughts. Be responsive, not reactive. And then before you do, get centered and be before you do. So I hope this is helpful. I know we touched on a number of subjects. These little talks are not as scripted as my writings, but they're designed to kind of just share what's in my heart. So I hope you find them helpful. As I mentioned, if you like what you see and like what you hear, please like the video. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Life and Living Now, on YouTube, and send an email. There is a free Qigong class on Saturday mornings that we're running. We're in October 2024. It's 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 9 o'clock Central where I am. And they're free. Just send me an email to lifeandlivingnow@gmail.com, and I'll send you a link. But thank you. Have a great day. Bye bye.